What if I told you that a chef named Andy Ricker moved to Portland from Chiang Mai, Thailand, opened a restaurant called Pok Pok in a converted house in southeast Portland in 2005, and single-handedly changed how America understood Thai food, not by serving pad Thai, but by serving the food that Thai people actually eat, the street food of northern Thailand, the dishes that had never appeared on an American menu? That Portland's farmers market is considered one of the best in the country not because Portland grows the most food, but because it is 3 blocks from where most of the restaurants buy their ingredients, and the chefs come on Saturday mornings and cook what they find? Portland, the city of roses. The most aggressively itself city in America. In November 1999, Dwayne Sorensen opened Stumptown Coffee Roasters in a former beauty parlor on Southeast Division Street in Portland. The old sign from the beauty parlor, Hairbender, was still hanging when he moved in. He kept it. Hairbender became the name of Stumptown's signature espresso blend. Sorensen had been a barista. He had been head roaster at Lighthouse Roasters in Seattle. He had spent years thinking about why most American coffee was bad and what would have to change to make it good. The answer was sourcing. The coffee at the top of the supply chain, the farms, the specific lots, the relationships between roasters and the people who grew the beans, determined everything. If you wanted better coffee, you had to go to the farms yourself. As far back as the early 2000s, Sorensen and his team visited coffee farms and paid above-market prices for higher quality coffee, helping to establish direct trade practices. Stumptown was also part of the groundbreaking 2004 Best of Panama auction. Along with other industry heavyweights, Sorensen helped drive bids to $21 per pound, the highest price ever paid for coffee at the time. Stumptown was one of the world's first third-wave roasters. The company had a huge impact on specialty coffee market trends and influenced many other brands to follow in its footsteps. The third wave of coffee, the movement that treats coffee as an artisanal product that values origin and processing and roast profile the way wine culture values terroir, was born in Portland in a former beauty parlor. The $7 pour-over at your local coffee shop, the single-origin Ethiopian on your grocery store shelf, the barista who tells you about the elevation of the farm where your espresso was grown. All of it traces to Division Street in 1999, to a 27-year-old who spent his life savings on a small roaster because he thought coffee could be better if someone was willing to pay more for it. In 2003, two friends named Tress Shannon and Kenneth Cat Daddy Pogson opened a donut shop in Old Town Portland at 22 Southwest 3rd Avenue. Their philosophy was specific. Make donuts that nobody had made before. Keep the shop open 24 hours and never, under any circumstances, be normal. Voodoo Donut served a donut shaped like a coffin, a donut decorated like a voodoo doll with a pretzel stick through its heart, a donut topped with Cap'n Crunch cereal, a donut glazed and covered with bacon, a donut filled with vanilla custard topped with crushed Oreos to look like dirt, finished with a gummy worm emerging from the surface. None of these things should have worked. All of them worked immediately. The line formed before the doors opened on the first day. The line has not stopped forming since. Voodoo Donut became one of the most photographed food destinations in America. Not because the donuts are the best in Portland, they are not, but because they are the most specific, the most committed, the most relentlessly themselves. The pink boxes. The slogan, "The magic is in the hole." The voodoo doll donut that requires a full minute of counter work and a steady hand with the pretzel. Portland's relationship to its own donut culture is characteristic of its relationship to its food culture generally. The weird thing is celebrated. The normal thing is not sufficient. Blue Star Donuts, which opened in 2012 and makes donuts with cultured butter and brioche, dough and flavors like Meyer lemon with curd and blueberry bourbon basil, is Voodoo's more refined counterpart. Portland has more food carts per capita than any other American city. Over 600 operating simultaneously, organized into pods, clusters of carts sharing seating areas, across the city. The phenomenon is not an accident. It is the result of a city ordinance. In the early 2000s, Portland's regulations made it significantly cheaper to open and operate a food cart than a brick-and-mortar restaurant. The health code was manageable. The permitting was accessible. The rent was low. Entrepreneurs who wanted to cook but didn't have restaurant capital found that a cart was viable. Immigrant communities found that a cart was a path into the food economy. Chefs found that a cart was a way to test a concept without betting everything on it. The pods developed because the carts needed customers and customers needed seating. The pod on Southwest 5th and 6th Avenues in downtown Portland became the largest. Dozens of carts in a single location serving everything from Ethiopian injera to Korean bibimbap to Peruvian ceviche to American BBQ. The variety in a single Portland pod exceeds the variety in most American food courts of 10 times the size. Portland's food cart culture has been imitated by every major American city. In 2005, a chef named Andy Ricker opened a restaurant called Pok Pok in a converted house in the Division Street neighborhood of Southeast Portland. The restaurant had a few picnic tables on the front porch and a menu that most Americans had never seen before. Pok Pok served the food of northern Thailand, not the pad thai and green curry that American Thai restaurants had standardized into something approaching a national cuisine, but the dishes that Thai people actually eat. Fish sauce wings marinated overnight and grilled over charcoal, papaya salad pounded to order in a mortar, drinking vinegar drinks served in ceramic cups, Ike's Vietnamese fish sauce wings that became the dish Portland talked about for years. Ricker had spent time in Chiang Mai. He had eaten at the night markets and the street stalls and the restaurants that tourists didn't find. He had learned to cook Thai food from Thai people in Thailand, not from Thai-American restaurant culture. When he brought those dishes to Portland, he brought them exactly as he had learned them, with the fish sauce, the fermented shrimp paste, the palm sugar, the specific chilies that American palates were not accustomed to. Pok Pok became one of the most discussed restaurants in America. The New York Times wrote about it. Anthony Bourdain ate there. James Beard Foundation gave Ricker the Best Chef Northwest Award in 2011. The restaurant that changed how America understood Thai food was in a converted house in southeast Portland with picnic tables on the porch. Portland is not a wine-producing city. The vineyards are in the Willamette Valley to the south and west. But Portland is where Willamette Valley Pinot Noir is sold, celebrated, argued about, and poured at the kind of density that no other American city outside Napa can match. The Willamette Valley is the best place in the United States to grow Pinot Noir. This is not a marketing claim. It is the consensus of the international wine community, including Burgundian producers who came to Oregon in the 1980s specifically because the climate reminded them of Côte d'Or. Portland's wine bar and wine shop culture, SE Wine Collective, Teutonic Wine Company, Division Wines, the dozens of establishments pouring Willamette Valley Pinot by the glass at prices that make the same quality in a Napa restaurant look absurd, reflects the city's proximity to the source. The wine from the vineyard 30 miles away is fresher, more specific, and less expensive than the wine shipped from California or France. The annual Pinot Noir celebration in McMinnville, the International Pinot Noir celebration, draws producers from Oregon, Burgundy, and across the world every summer. Portland is where those producers eat and drink before and after. In 2011, cousins Kim Malik and Tyler Malik opened an ice cream cart on NE Alberta Street in Portland. Tyler was 22 years old and had no formal culinary training. He had an idea. Ice cream flavors made from local Oregon ingredients, pushed past the point that standard ice cream shops considered reasonable. Salt and Straw's flavors are not conventional. Pear and blue cheese, honey lavender, Arbequina olive oil, sea salt with caramel ribbons. Thanksgiving dinner, turkey, stuffing, cranberry sauce, each flavor made separately and swirled together. Every month brings a new seasonal menu. Every month, the line outside the Alberta Street shop justifies the concept. The name comes from the old-fashioned method of packing ice cream in salt and straw for transport. The ice cream itself is made from Jacobson sea salt from the Oregon coast, dairy from Lockmead Farms in Junction City, fruits from local orchards, and the specific collaborations with local producers that Salt and Straw builds into every seasonal menu. Salt and Straw now has locations across the country. The original Alberta Street Cart became a shop, then a company with 25 locations. Tyler Malik was named one of Food & Wine's best new chefs. Every Saturday morning from March through December, the Portland Farmers Market opens in the South Park blocks adjacent to Portland State University. It is one of the best farmers markets in America, not because Portland has the most farmland or the most producers, but because it has the most committed relationship between what is sold at the market and what is served in the city's restaurants. The chefs of Portland's restaurant community shop at the farmers market on Saturday mornings. They buy what looks best that week and build their menus around it. The farm-to-table philosophy that became fashionable nationally in the 2000s was the operating principle of Portland's restaurant community, years before the phrase had national currency. The market vendors include the hazelnut farmers of the Willamette Valley, the berry growers of the Columbia Gorge, the mushroom foragers of the Coast Range, the cheesemakers of the Tillamook area, and the small produce farms that grow the specific varieties that Portland restaurants need and that supermarkets don't stock. Portland is 75 miles from Tillamook, Oregon, the coastal town where a dairy cooperative of 10 farmers formed in 1909 and began making cheddar from the richest milk on the Oregon coast. The drive takes 90 minutes over the Coast Range. Portlanders make it regularly. The Tillamook Creamery is the second most visited tourist attraction in Oregon, after Crater Lake. Visitors come to watch cheese being made. They leave with yellow blocks and coolers and ice cream cones in their hands. The ice cream at the Tillamook Creamery, made from the same milk that goes into the cheese, rich and clean and specifically coastal, is the reason for the detour. In Portland, Tillamook cheese is in every grocery store, in every restaurant that serves a burger or a grilled cheese or a mac and cheese. It is the default cheese of the city, the cheese that Portland grew up with, that requires no explanation, that appears on menus without brand identification because the brand identification is assumed. In December, the crab season opens on the Oregon coast. The boats come into Newport and Astoria and Coos Bay loaded with Dungeness crab, the large, sweet Pacific crab that the town of Dungeness on Washington's Olympic Peninsula named, and that runs the entire coast from Alaska to Central California. Portland restaurants prepare for December the way the rest of the country prepares for Thanksgiving. The menus change, the crab towers appear. The simple preparations, steamed Dungeness with drawn butter, Dungeness crab pasta with white wine and herbs, Dungeness crab cakes made with almost no filler, take center stage. The difference between Dungeness crab eaten in Portland in December, from a boat that brought it in that morning, and Dungeness crab eaten anywhere else is the difference that proximity and time make in seafood. Portland is 90 miles from the coast. When the crab is fresh, Portland knows it. Portland did not set out to build a food culture. It set out to be itself, and the food followed. The specialty coffee movement was built by a man who spent his life savings on a small roaster because he thought coffee should be better. The donut shop was built by two friends who wanted to make donuts that nobody had made before, and opened at midnight because that was when people needed donuts. The food carts exist because a zoning ordinance made it cheaper than a restaurant and everyone decided to cook outside. The Thai restaurant changed American Thai food because a chef ate in Chiang Mai and decided to bring back exactly what he found. This is the pattern. Portland does not decide to be innovative. It decides to be honest about what the food should taste like, about where it should come from, about who should have access to it, and at what price. The food cart serves the same food that the restaurant serves, for less money, outside. Not every city's most important food movement was started in a former beauty parlor. Not every city's most visited donut shop was designed specifically to be confusing. Not every city's food cart culture was created by a zoning ordinance that nobody planned to turn into a culinary revolution.